Welcome, everybody, to episode 11 of the Lights Up Show. I'm your host, Andrew. I make the show Midori, and I will be guiding you through the month's biggest news in movies and television. That includes reviews on Halloween Kills. We're going to go through You, Season 3, Made, and a little bit more. If you enjoy the show at any point, be sure to hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show so you never miss new episodes of Lights Up on the first Saturday of every month. And all episodes are archived on YouTube at youtube.com/The Level Up Network, so be sure to subscribe there. Lastly, Lights Up Night isn't just about talk show. Every episode is followed up on our Discord by a live watch along. Tonight, we will be doing Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, closing out our prequel marathon. So join right now, discord.gg/The Level Up Network. Become a part of the community even when I am not live. Of course, on there, on Discord, you can take part in some interactive segments like in the Spotlight, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the night. Right now, we're going to start off the show, as we always do, with a little segment called How You Reviewing, where I take a look at what has come out in theaters and also what I've been watching myself at home. We're going to jump over to Rotten Tomatoes and take a look at Eternals. That is the big release, of course, right now, coming from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's a very interesting one as well, because it is the first ever movie within the Marvel Cinematic Universe to have a Rotten Tomato meter score. It is at 48% currently, looking at it right now, 290 reviews. That is from all critics. Going over to top critics, it's all the way down to 42% with 62 critic reviews. That's a 5.4 average rating out of 10. Not great. However, more positively, we do have the verified audience, 2,500 plus verified ratings at 4.2 out of 5. That is an 84% like for the audience right now. So more positive on that end. But this is a big deal. This is the first time this has happened, as I said, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And on top of that, even though the audience scores at 84% here on Rotten Tomatoes, the cinema score is a B. Now, that might not seem bad, but a B is not good on cinema score. So the way Cinema Score works is they pretty much survey poll people that are walking out of the theater after seeing the movie. And they do it like day one, the night it released. And usually there's a curve to that because there's what would you call it? I guess there's a weighted score, because those people that are seeing it day one, opening night, maybe even opening show, are diehard fans that are a little bit biased, let's be honest, and they're coming out and they're more positive than the casual moviegoer would potentially be. So it's very rare for big blockbuster movies to get even a B, actually. That's pretty low. There has never been a single Marvel movie other than Thor that has gotten less than an A- on cinema score, and even Thor got a B+. So this is the lowest cinema score that we've ever seen for a movie within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's bizarre. It's very bizarre. Let's go to the reviews here on Rotten Tomatoes from top critics first. Let's go over to Richard Brody with The New Yorker. He said, regardless of Zhao, that's Chloe Zhao, the director, and Marvel's intentions, Eternals is a parade of faces without experience. A movie that reaches back and forth through history and comes back empty-handed. Let me see if I can get the actual scores to go with these. That one does not have a score, but this one does. Richard Roper of Ebert and Roper, way back in the day, he's with the Chicago Sun-Times. He said, this is one of the more forgettable MCU movies, despite the direction of Oscar winner Chloe Zhao. And that's what's interesting. Chloe Zhao is off the back of a Best Picture, Best Director Oscar movie. This was Nomadland, and it's just that there was a lot of excitement about her being attached to anything Marvel related because of her coming off the heels of that. So for it to be the lowest rated movie in the entire history of the MCU and being the only Best Director, Best Picture winner of the group it's just very ironic. Going over to Claudia Puig with Film Week, she said, at a glacial pace of 2 hours and 37 minutes, the movie occasionally feels eternal, and it sags under that weight. Let's do a positive. This one's a 3 out of 5, so not very positive, but Clarice Lowry from The Independent said, Chloe Zhao puts into full view the kind of moral quandaries that Marvel's only ever really danced around in the past. But there's only so much room for that kind of thought. Okay. Let's see if I can find another interesting one here. Here we go. Stephen Gradanis with National Catholic Register says, there's plenty to criticize in Eternals and some things that I might praise. In another story set in another universe, but I'm not sure any story set in this universe could possibly offer anything to care about one way or the other. Very interesting, right? Because it comes across like this guy doesn't like any of the Marvel movies. So maybe that's one to not care too much about. I don't know what that guy's on. Very bizarre review. And let's see. Let's get one more here. Chris Hewitt with Minneapolis Star Tribune. The elements seem to be there for Eternals to further stretch the boundaries of what constitutes a Marvel movie, but too much of the time it settles for being more of the same. And that's kind of crazy, right? Because people were expecting Chloe Zhao to do something completely different, and most of what I'm reading is that it kind of takes this half measure where it's not different enough to satisfy the art house fans, and it's not enough of the same to satisfy MCU fans. So it's somewhere in this in between that is satisfying not a lot of people. And it's a shame. Like, they literally fell right in the middle of where they needed to be. They either needed to do more of the same or go so far in the other direction that it was very interesting. And it sounds like it's doing neither of that, unfortunately. What's even more fascinating about all of this, now this is rumors though, and this might not be true, but I remember half a year ago, maybe even a full year ago, there were reports, insiders saying that upper management, higher ups, Kevin Feige included in that, were shocked at what they had in their hands with Eternals. They were talking about this being the best movie they have ever put together. They were talking about this being the first movie that had a chance at winning Best Picture. That's what was being reported, that they were so hyped up internally at Marvel, at Disney, about what they had. And they thought that there was no way it could fail. And I don't understand, especially with Kevin Feige, how they could have been so off the mark. How is that? It just keeps dropping. It literally just does not stop dropping, this movie, when it comes to reviews. And it probably still has like another 100, maybe even 200 reviews still to come in. And it's just been going from literally 80% down to 70, down to 65, down to 62, down to 60. And you're like, oh man, maybe it won't go rotten. And then it just kept plummeting. Now it's down to 48%. Top critics down to 42%. And honestly, with the trajectory so far and more reviews yet to come in, another 100, 200 reviews, this movie's probably going to go down into 30-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is like Green Lantern level. This is like Joss Whedon Justice League level. This is crazy. It's absolutely crazy that a Best Picture, Best Director, director came off of that and did this within the MCU. Was it just like so out of her wheelhouse that she didn't know what to do with these characters and with this type of story? I haven't seen it yet, but in ways it makes me want to see it more, just to see like, how did they go so wrong with this in the eyes of, it seems like, most critics, and based on Cinema Score, a lot of moviegoers as well. We don't have a lot of people in our community that have seen it yet. I know Denny has, if he is here, and he seemed to enjoy it just fine. He didn't seem to be enamored by it, but he seemed to enjoy it. Rick, when are you going to see it? When's it on your schedule? Do you have an idea? I see no way that I like it less than Venom or Suicide Squad. That's what's crazy, is Venom is reviewing much stronger than this movie, and it's about at that Suicide Squad level, which I think is one of the worst superhero movies ever made. Suicide Squad was abysmal, in my opinion. If this is anywhere close to this level, I will be absolutely shocked by it. I don't understand how it's even possible. But let's move on to some things that I've been watching myself, starting with another MCU movie that is now available on Disney Plus for anybody, not just Premier Access. It is Black Widow. And I was not expecting this to be one of my favorite MCU movies. And I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it was a lot stronger than I expected it to be. I came out of this movie so surprised, really enjoying the action, especially. The action was right in like the ballpark of what I wanted it to be. Like as far as doing hand-to-hand CQC type action, feeling like there were a lot of practical effects. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of CGI set pieces, and I think they're really fantastic, actually. The ending set piece especially was fantastic from a CGI standpoint. But there's a lot of great martial arts, I guess you could say, within this. Not in a Shang-Chi kind of way, but in a spy, espionage, assassin combat kind of way. And I just thought it was so cool to watch. The opening scene of the film, when they're kids and they're escaping from America to Russia, was so exciting. I was like, yeah, holy shit, I'm in already. They hooked me with that opening scene. I was so impressed by the action. One thing I didn't like in the opening was I think it was a Nirvana song that they used, which I thought was so bizarre. I don't know what that was all about. I think they used, was it like Heart-Shaped Box or something? Does anybody remember? What was the Nirvana song I think they used? Like a slow, like moody remix of a Nirvana song, I want to say, as the opening credits. I thought that was bizarre. But everything after that, I was like, holy crap, this is a really fun movie. Smells like Teen Spirit. I just thought it was weird. I thought it was a really bizarre choice for an MCU movie. It just didn't feel right to me. No, it didn't, like, don't get me wrong. Let's move past it already. It's not that big a deal, but I was surprised and a little confused by that choice. I loved Poog in her role, and I'm sorry, I'm drawing blanks with some of the characters. It's been like a month already since I've watched it, but her relationship, her sisterly relationship, was with Natasha was absolutely fantastic. She was kind of the star of the movie, in my opinion. The humor that came from their relationship, and also Red Guardian was great. Yelena is her name. Thank you. It was the star of the show, but Red Guardian was fantastic. Just a lot of great performances, a lot of great humor, great action. And it felt like it was a film that handled female empowerment, if you want to call it that, in a way that I thought wasn't too heavy-handed. And I don't want that to come off as feminism or female empowerment can be heavy-handed. Like that sounds bad. Like it's good no matter what, right? Feminism is great. Female empowerment is great. But there's a certain way that it's sometimes done, not within the MCU always, but within some films where it just feels like a little too on the nose, where there's a cringe aspect to it. And I hate to use that word as well, but it does feel a little bit too heavy sometimes in certain films that I've seen. And I thought that it just felt right in this. Like, I was like, yeah, like every woman in this movie is badass and feels badass and doesn't feel like a poser or anything of the sort. It felt all natural and organic and it's just awesome. It just felt so cool to see these badass women just owning the screen and owning their roles and stealing the movie. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really cool. The whole way through. I recommend this film 100%. If you guys are on Disney Plus, it's no longer on Premiere Access, watch it. You might have had low expectations like I did, just because it is a prequel movie and it's coming from a film that kind of would have made more sense in phase 2. But for all those reasons and more, I think it comes out on top. So I give Black Widow 4 out of 5 stars. I know it's a comic book movie, but they made me wonder about Spec Ops with afros. I'm not sure what that means, actually, Thunder is Quiet. You might have to explain yourself. 4 out of 5 stars for Black Widow. On the opposite end, let's jump on over to a real turd. Some might call it a turd in the wind. I watched Halloween Kills the night it released on Peacock. I had middling expectations for this movie. I thought Halloween 2018 was solid. I thought it was a good start to a new trilogy within the franchise after years and years of just absolutely awful movies, honestly. I thought the Rob Zombie movies were absolutely terrible. I thought Halloween H2O was fun and was definitely better than a lot of what came before it, but this is not a franchise that has had many good movies. Halloween 1 is fantastic, one of the best slasher movies ever made. Halloween 2 is cool. You know, it's got its good moments. Halloween 3 is very unique and interesting, and in some ways I really respect it for trying to depart from what came before and set up an anthology series. But everything pretty much after that is just sucky, just flat out sucky. So Halloween 2018 kind of starting off a movement in the right direction, had me positive for Halloween Kills. A lot of people were really hyped up on the trailers, and I understand why, because they were so heavy on violence and it made it seem like the kill count was going to be so high. But I was a little bit deterred by that, actually, because seeing so many kills in the trailer made me think that the body count was actually going to be a detractor from the film, that it wasn't going to be focused on good characters or on clever violence, but on just violence in general. And I think that's what we got, is a film that is gratuitous and graphic, but not in the right ways. It's just gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous. It's just, hey, let's kill as many people, but let's not try and get any really good reaction out of the audience with these kills. Let's not keep them on their toes or actually build up scares or tension or terror or ominous anything. It's just him going from kill to kill, and none of them really got me. And maybe that's because I've become somewhat desensitized to all this, but I feel like not that long ago, with great horror movies, and that's one thing I have to say as well, is this film is coming after a renaissance of fantastic horror movies. Movies from A24 like Hereditary or Midsommar with Florence Pugh. You know, such great horror movies coming out. Invisible Man, even. Movies that are ratcheting up the tension and the terror without using graphic violence as a crutch. This movie does it all wrong. Every single thing it can do wrong, it does wrong. It's not smart. It's just not a smart movie. And it retroactively, in a lot of ways, actually destroys a lot of the lore that people have become invested in within the Halloween franchise. Now, I'm just going to spoiler you off the bat. Like, this movie kind of destroys the Laurie Strode and Michael Myers connection by saying that it means nothing. It literally says that. It says in this movie that Michael Myers is not coming back to Haddonfield for Laurie. He's just coming back home, literally to his home. That's all he cares about, is he just wants to go home. He's killing people on his way home. And it's all that happens as a result of that is the viewer of the film asking themselves, what the fuck is the point then? Why are these people staying here? All these years, Laurie thought that she was being chased down by the boogeyman when all she had to do was fucking leave the town. All you had to do was leave. Literally. You just leave everybody and you're no longer in danger. And even though they didn't know that, retroactively, you're like, holy shit, this is so dumb. There's no connective tissue anymore. It's an insane choice in my mind. And I'm not saying that Laurie Strode and Michael Myers need to be siblings, because that's dumb as well. Don't get me wrong, that's dumb. But there was a great lore there in the fact that Laurie Strode escaped being murdered by Michael Myers. And that was their connection. That she got away. And that he couldn't stand that. That was the connection. And that's all it needed to be. You didn't need to dive any deeper than that. Literally, that is as deep as it needed to go. That he just couldn't stand that she got away. And they even ruined that. There's nothing there between Laurie and Michael now, unless they once again retcon it in Halloween Ends next year. What's also unbelievably dumb about this movie is how it tries to spin the town as being the evil one. Because when Michael comes back, they form this brigade of townspeople that are going to hunt him down and kill him. And it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. If the police aren't going to do it, which I think is dumb, just get a fucking SWAT team in there to murder this guy. Like, because he's killed like 20 people by now. I think this is a large enough threat that you could get like a group of people armed with fucking machine guns and take this guy out. But okay, they're not going to do it. Yeah, get everybody in the town together to hunt this guy down. But why are we doing with baseball bats and hockey sticks? The guy has killed how many people? And you're going after him with baseball bats and hockey sticks? Let's be honest. Every single person in this town probably has a gun. And if Not everybody has a gun. There's one person in this town that is a gun nut that has a freaking treasure chest of freaking automatic machine guns. Somebody in this town is armed. And we went after him with hockey sticks. It's just so asinine. It's absolutely asinine. So it then like has this moment that's supposed to be like dramatic and emotional where they're going after the wrong guy. They've got this poor, mentally impaired guy who's running around town that escaped or something, and they think he's Michael Myers. And they've got him in the hospital, and they're chasing him up the stairs, trying to catch him in the hospital. And there's this thing throughout the film where Tommy, played by, oh God, what's his name? From Breakfast Club and the Dead Zone TV series and Edward Scissorhands. You guys know who he is. Everybody's going after this guy, and Tommy is like leading the charge. And it gets so dumb. The thing they keep saying throughout the film to get people riled up, his thing is, evil dies tonight! Evil dies tonight! And he just like keeps saying it throughout the film. And it gets to a point where it's just so hilarious. It comes off like Abed from Community, if you've ever seen that movie, where he's the Cape. You guys remember that show from NBC, The Cape? And he was obsessed with that show. And he keeps running around the community college campus going, 6 seasons in a movie! And he runs away. That's Tommy in this movie. He just keeps running by the camera going, evil dies tonight! And just goes on with his thing. He just keeps saying it throughout the movie. Evil dies tonight! And it's so hilarious in all the wrong ways. Except for when this guy kills himself because they're chasing him to his death. He jumps out the hospital window, smashes on the pavement, and basically explodes and dies. And it's supposed to be this like, oh my God, the town has gone evil. Look what they've done, this poor individual. Okay, I can kind of get behind that, but don't show the guy's head exploded on the pavement then. That completely saps out Anthony Michael Hall. Thank you. That completely saps all of the emotional weight out of the scene and once again turns it into a shock value gratuitous kill. That's all it was in the end, was a man's head exploded on the pavement. What were you thinking? This was your one moment. This is your one scene to try and execute on something dramatic and emotional, and you completely destroyed it with graphic violence and shock value. It's just, the movie has no idea what it means to be a good horror film, a good terror film, a good thriller, a good suspense. It has no idea how to be any of that. And it's kind of shocking because I feel like Halloween 2018 had moments of that, but this has none of it. Literally none of it. And I am not in any way, shape, or form looking forward to Halloween Ends because of that. This is just a sad excuse for a horror film. I give Halloween Kills 1 star out of 5. Probably maybe the lowest review I've ever given on this show. Just terrible. All right. And there are a lot of people that like this movie too. I don't get it. I'm sorry if I've offended you. But that movie fucking sucked. Moving on. Let's jump on over to television. Eternals Coming for the Crown. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Let's talk about You, Season 3. Joe Goldberg coming back, baby, to light our hearts on fire. He always does. This is a guilty pleasure kind of show, I guess, right? Kind of is. A little bit of a guilty pleasure show. But I really like it. I really like You. It's kind of like the best version of trash TV. It is kind of trashy. I think we all can admit it's a little bit trashy. It's very Lifetime in like the best possible way. It's like a Lifetime movie turned into a series that's actually good. And like with characters that you can't help but support and get behind, even though 2 of them are murderous people. And I don't want to spoil too much, but you know, coming off of season 2, you got Love Quinn and you got Joe Goldberg. They're they're married, right? They're married. They now have a child, and Joe is trying to be a better person. He's an obsessive person. Just his addiction, his obsession in a way. He gets hooked on women and can't pull himself away, and has resulted in him murdering several people to get out of some of these situations. But now he's with Love Quinn, who is a murderer herself, and in some ways even more dangerous than Joe. And they're trying to figure out how to make it work in this new suburban town that they're a part of, with a lot of like Instagram stars and real fake people, and so it jumps off to a great start by having a kill in the very first episode again, I don't want to spoil too much, but a kill happens by one of their hands in the very first episode, and then the entire season kicks off with, oh shit, like how are they going to get out of this? In a sort of Dexter kind of way. It's like, how are they going to get out of this? And it just keeps getting worse and worse. And in a lot of ways, love is the real problem, because one of the things I like about this season is Joe is trying so hard to be a better person, mostly because he's a father now, and he feels this incredible responsibility not to turn his son into him. He thought the child was going to be a girl, but they got it wrong. And by the child being a boy, he feels even more attachment to that responsibility of like, oh God, what if he turns out like me? And it's nice to watch in a lot of ways. And it's, as a father, very understandable. Even though I have girls, like you get it. You're like, yeah, I totally get that. And it was kind of enjoyable and sort of heartwarming and wholesome in a way to see him trying so hard and wanting to be a better person. Of course, it doesn't end very well. It's not too much of a shock for a show like this, but the journey was a lot of fun to watch. All that being said, I do think overall this might have been my least favorite season. It definitely wasn't my favorite. I don't know if it was my least favorite. I think it's hard to say. They're all like in a similar ballpark, but I will say the middle of this show I thought dragged a little bit. I thought the start was really strong, and I thought the ending was very strong. I thought the final episode was great, like a really strong finale. With like the last 5 minutes, especially with a great song choice, Taylor Swift, Exile, which I think was a great moment. But I think like the middle 3 episodes of the series were a little bit redundant. Like it kind of felt like it was treading the same territory over and over again. Like, he likes this girl, but how is he gonna make this work? Oh, love's a psycho. Like, it just kind of felt like I was watching the same 3 episodes, like the same episode, I should say, 3 episodes in a row. 1, 3, 2 for you. Yeah, I think I need to think about it more, but I think I'm right there with you. I think 1, 3, 2 would be the same for me. But here's the thing. They're all like very close together. I think I enjoyed this entire series so far in very subtle, differences between the 3. So yeah, like the middle drags a little bit. I think they could have tightened it up. They probably could have made this an 8 episode. I think it's 10 episodes, right? They could have made this an 8 episode season instead of a 10 episode season, and I think it would have been better for that. But it's kind of a mild complaint overall, because I do think it ended so strong that it leaves that great taste in your mouth. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do. Season 4 is already confirmed to be happening, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a season 5 as well. I feel like 2 more seasons make sense to me. That's kind of where I would like to see this go. I don't want it to go any further than that, I don't think. And I don't really understand or imagine how this show can end well, in all honesty. It's just, as much as you like Joe, he does deserve his comeuppance. He does deserve punishment, whether by death or by imprisonment. And I don't want it to be death, actually. I think it would be great to see him be rehabilitated. And it would be a really different direction for a show like this. I think with so many shows where you are rooting for the anti-hero, you're rooting for the villain that you aren't really supposed to, it usually ends with them dying, right? And it's kind of trite at this point. If it just ends with him dying, it'll just be like, all right, man, it's more the same. Kind of like a lot of the other ones. So for him to potentially maybe go to prison and be rehabilitated and get over it would be interesting. Or maybe for him to be rehabilitated and get out and go back to his old ways again, and it be to be like a sad ending would be interesting as well. I don't think I just want it to be he dies, he goes to prison, and that's it. It just would feel like the same thing I've seen a bunch of times at this point. But we got a while to wait for that. We got 2 more years of Lights Up and us reviewing You before we find out what eventually happens to Joe Goldberg. I will say too, the ending is very bittersweet to season 3. I understand why it had to happen the way it did, but it's kind of sad to me. Like it needed to happen. What happened needed to happen, but I keep thinking about it and it's just kind of tragic. It's just kind of, as a parent, and especially thinking about my wife and the mother of my children as well, to think about that happening the way it did, just kind of like, ugh, that sucks. That really sucks. But I get it. And it was a very, very strong ending. Let's move on to our final review of the evening. We're going to talk about another Netflix original series. This one is called Made, and produced by Margot Robbie, stars Margaret Qualley and her mother, her real life mother, Andie MacDowell, in this show. Kristen watched it first. She really, really enjoyed it. It kind of put her on this path of researching domestic abuse, not just physical domestic abuse, but also mental and other versions of domestic abuse that a lot of people don't think about. And that's kind of the focus of the show, because our main character, Alex, is not physically abused. She is very close to being physically abused, but she isn't. She runs away from her relationship with her partner early in the show because it looks like it could be going to that. It's the man, the boyfriend that she's with is a very complex character. He's an alcoholic. He has a disease. He's not a bad person. I wouldn't call him just like a purely bad person. He's a person that comes from a family of addiction, and unfortunately the cycle has continued with him. And when he becomes drunk, is violent. And I think if she were to stay with him, it would have become physical abuse. But she gets out while it's still mental and financial abuse, all these things that people don't really think about. And she is also trying to break a cycle because her mother, Andie MacDowell, who is bipolar and suffers from a lot of her own issues, she comes from a relationship of domestic abuse. So it's about these cycles continuing and trying to break that cycle. But it's also about how the system fails people like Alex in so many ways. She goes on government assistance when she runs away from her partner. She goes into this home here for victims of domestic abuse, and that's great. That's something that I didn't really know about, and it shows a lot of fantastic people and the work that they do to help out these women, usually women. But there's so many people in this show that absolutely fail Alex on her journey to bettering herself and protecting her daughter and trying to make a better life. It's this snowball effect where just one thing happens and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And it's a tough show to watch for that reason. You're going to watch it, and if you do watch it, you just be like, oh God, like, I don't know if I want to watch this, because it's just kind of heartbreaking. Like every time you think she's going to make it out of her situation, something happens that starts her back to square one. And you can't help but think, like, is this show going to end with her just not being able to get out of this situation that she's in, that she's going to be stuck in this, or that she's going to return to her abusive partner, which is so common, as the show points out. It's so common for these young women or women. It doesn't have to be young women. They show that it really is the whole spectrum. It really doesn't matter. They so often return. I think the average they said is that they usually return to their partners 7 times before they eventually realize that they have to get out. And that's just so crazy to me. It's a kind of fascinating show if you aren't knowledgeable in this whatsoever. I do recommend it, almost for educational reasons, but it also is just a really good story. It's based on, mostly based on real life events, from a young woman that became a maid like Alex did to try and support her daughter. And that's what she does in the show. She becomes a maid, and a few other things as well to try and make money. And throughout the entire show, as you can see right now, like her bank account, if you want to call it that, is like always on display to show you how much money she has in her account and how it's dwindling and how fast it's dwindling. And if she earns something, how quickly she loses it. And it's kind of anxiety inducing, intentionally so, to see her just always trying to get back in the right way and having such a hard time doing it. Margaret Qualley is really, really strong in the show. I think this is the first time I've really seen her spread her wings and show her true abilities as an actress. I did think she was fantastic in a lot of ways in Leftovers, but she's not in that show a lot. And I don't think she really had an opportunity to show her acting chops in that. Death Note is another one where I really don't feel like she got to show me very much in Death Note. Death Stranding as well. Death Stranding is another example of something where I saw potential. I was like, okay, yeah, I can see potential in Margaret Qualley as an actress. This is the one to do it, though. This is one that shows that she actually could become a very big actress in especially dramatic roles. Her mother, Andie MacDowell, in real life and in the show as well, also does a fantastic job showing bipolar disorder and how that can be so devastating to the people around you. Unfortunately, you want to sympathize with her, of course, having this disorder, having this disease, but it also is about how hard it is on Alex needing to take care of her mother almost like she's a second child. She's already a mother trying to take care of a daughter, barely making ends meet. And then on top of that, she's supposed to take care of her bipolar mother as well, who is homeless. It's just so much. It's so much to handle. So yeah, if you feel like you can handle that, I do very much recommend Maid. It's a great show on Netflix. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, good for her. Exactly, right? Good for her. If I had to, since I just gave it the score, to give some negatives, and I use that term loosely because it's not exactly a negative, but one of my frustrations watching the show was Alex herself, actually. And the reason I say that is I feel like there are a lot of moments throughout the series where she makes terrible decisions. And by terrible, I mean that she actually was putting her daughter in more danger by making the decisions that she was. One of them being, I'm just going to say it, like her father was abusive to her mother. And she realizes that in the show. She has memories that are coming back to her, and she realizes that one of her memories of hiding in a cupboard was because her mother was being abused by her father and she was hiding from it. So once she realizes that, she snaps and never wants us to be around her father for very long, and definitely doesn't want her daughter being around her father. But here's the thing. Her father, as portrayed in the show, now that's the thing you have to keep in mind, like this is how he's portrayed in the show. He's a changed man. He's a born-again Christian now, which, okay, whatever. But he's a born-again Christian. He's with a very loving wife who seems to be just a very kind-hearted person. He's no longer an alcoholic. He constantly goes to meetings. He's sponsoring her partner in the show, actually trying to help him get through his alcoholism. He is a different person. He's not really owning up to being abusive when he was with the mother, but as of present day in the show, he is a changed person that wants to help his daughter and redeem himself in a lot of ways. And if she would have chosen to just stay with him, even if it was just for a week, she doesn't have to forgive him. She doesn't have to stay with him for a year or even a month, but stay with him until you can get back on your feet. He's not a danger to your daughter. Like he's yes, he was a shitty person when he's younger, but he's not that person anymore. So get back on your feet. Instead, she goes back to her bipolar mother who's living in a trailer in the middle of nowhere with a husband who's a con artist. And she'd rather go back to that environment, which I think is so much more dangerous and it's out of pride and stubbornness, in my opinion. And again, like, I don't know if I should call that a negative, but it's very frustrating to watch. And I couldn't help but feel like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? Like, it felt in some ways unrealistic that she would do that, but maybe it was just trying to show her flaws as a person, that she wasn't able to look at her father as who he was now, and in some ways respect actually all the progress that he had made. Because the show does try really hard to point out that alcoholism is a disease. Her partner, Sean, is not a bad person. When he's a drunk, he's a monster, but he's not inherently a bad person. He's a person that's trying as well to break a cycle and become better. He's going to meetings. He's trying to break his addiction. He's trying to be a better father and partner to her, and he keeps sliding. And it shows all the different aspects of that. So for her, in a show that is trying to show all this depth and nuance to addiction and cycles and all that, for her to not at all in any way, shape, or form give her father that was somewhat bizarre to me. And I think it might in some ways do a disservice to that aspect of real life. You know, it might, for people that are dealing with alcoholism or anything like that, or addiction, or come from a family like that, they might watch a show and say, like, I'm not okay with how they're treating that. They're kind of prioritizing her abuse over something that's also very important, which is alcoholism and that disease. So in some ways that's a negative to me. All right. I spent long enough on Maid. Let's move on. Let's get into our trailers of the month. We got some goodies this month, starting off with Scream. Which I cannot hear. Hold on one sec. Uh-oh. I might have cut the volume from these. Let me check a future one. Oh no. Well, the volume's not there. Or is it? Let me see here. No, my volume's on. I must have cut the volume on these. But one thing I can do is I probably still have them loaded up. Hold on one sec. Let me just add them to my playlist from my downloads. All right, so we're going to let's start off with Scream.
This isn't funny, Amber.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
Doors unlocked.
It's modern.
All doors locked. Doors unlocked.
You guys see how it builds tension?
Hello?
Like has him hiding in the shadows. Like that's a horror movie.
So far. Do you have a gun?
I'm Sydney Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
Something about this one just feels different.
Samantha?
I know who you are.
I've been through this a lot. This is your life now, which means that whoever this is going to keep coming for you. You ready?
I actually feel like Drew Barrymore's performance in Scream is just fine. You guys know how I feel about Drew Barrymore, but that's a great opening in the original Scream. A fantastic opening.
To surviving.
The attacks were all on people related to the original killers.
Dewey looking like
Whatever his
a
link is to our past.
grizzled hero, man.
It's
Look at
pulled
him.
us all back here. And and I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
Yeah, baby. Scream! I really enjoyed the Scream franchise, and I think that the only one that's weak actually is Scream 3. I thought Scream 4 was a lot of fun. Naomi Campbell still looks great. Not Naomi Campbell. Nev Campbell, you mean. Nev Campbell. Yeah, Nev Campbell still looks great. Courtney Cox coming back as Gail Weatherstorm. Is that her name in Scary Movie? Is it Gail Weatherstorm? I can't remember. It's something ridiculous like that. But I especially am enjoying Dewey having that grizzled hero look in this one. He has somehow miraculously dodged death in all the Scream movies, and it makes no sense that they keep setting him up to die and he doesn't die. Is this finally going to be the one where he dies? I kind of hope not, just so they can keep breaking that tradition, that trope, right? No, it comes out early next year. It comes out January or February. I think I might actually say at the end of this, January 14th. So it's actually not that far away. It got a couple delays because of COVID. I think they wanted it to come out for Halloween this year, but there was a bunch of delays from COVID. So it's coming out on January 14th instead. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. Keep breaking the trope, right? That's what's cool about Scream is it's all about breaking tropes and also honoring them in a humorous way. Which is why a lot of people are wondering why this one is called Scream. Like, is that intentional? Why isn't it called Scream 5? Is it to poke fun at all of the reboots like Halloween, which don't actually let you know that they're reboots? They just, for some reason, they're now called Halloween instead of Halloween 2 or Halloween 2018 or whatever. I don't know, but I'm optimistic for this. I have heard good things about the script. The script is out there, and I've heard good things. I especially heard that the ending is a lot of fun in the twist that it has, because these always have twists. So I'm really looking forward to finding out what that twist is going to be. Let's move on to the next one. I'm going to have to load it up separately here. The Batman, you guys. Let's pull this full screen because, man, does this trailer look good. How you doing, Kitty? Welcome to the show.
Police! Hands up! Stay still! Get out of here!
No.
Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning.
I've been trying to reach you. Find the God!
This is about a king, and Ritter's the match.
I can take care of myself.
She's rocking that hairdo, man.
If this continues, it won't be long before you've nothing left.
I don't care what happens to me.
It's only gonna get worse for you.
Whoa! Take it easy, sweetheart. Hear everything they say, ain't you?
Maybe we're not so different. Who are you under there?
Shoot him in the
I'm
face.
vengeance.
I love that shot, man. And her reaction there to him punching the hell out of that guy is so good.
All over.
Dick.
I got you! I got you!
cinematography is out of this world, man. Cinematography is out of this world. What the hell just happened? I'll go back to it. I want to watch it again, damn it. Let's watch it again. Love it. You know, it's got a lot of Fincher vibes to it. A lot of people are saying that, but it really does, especially in this opening scene, which I think is so great. These David Fincher vibes that I'm getting. That noir style that they keep talking about. Supposedly Robert Pattinson is actually going to be sort of narrating over the entire movie in that film noir kind of way. But there's so much mystery being set up here too. Like, why aren't they showing the Riddler? Like in that scene where he's in the interrogation room, like what would be the point in not showing him there? Right? There's something going on in this movie. Like it's not just a simple Riddler movie. There's just no way. There's no way it's just that. I have to imagine there's more to this than that. My mind keeps going back to Hush. For some reason, I feel like it's going to take some aspect of Hush and incorporate it. I definitely think we're doing the cancer arc. Yeah, maybe. I think a lot of what Riddler's going to be too is not like your typical villain. He's definitely going to be, I think, trying to expose the Waynes and what they did or something like that. It's not going to be he's just a villain, you know, with this kink for riddles and all that. There's going to be more to it. Zoe Kravitz looks so great as Catwoman. Robert Pattinson, I do think, has a very good chance of being the best Batman we've ever seen. Yeah, I think we're doing Evil Waynes for sure. I do think we're doing Evil Waynes. But really, it's just like the color palette, the cinematography, the score by Michael Giacchino. Just everything about this looks so strong right now. I really hope that WB doesn't get their hands in this and mess anything up, because I think this has a chance to be one of the best, if not the best, Batman movie we've had yet. Also, to Fuzzbucket, no, we're not talking about Dune tonight, at least not in like a review, because I haven't seen it yet. But let's load up our next trailer. Moving on from that, hold on a second. What is my next trailer? My next trailer is Cowboy Bebop, which also looks really great. Let's check out the brand new trailer for Cowboy Bebop.
So what brings you back from the dead?
A week ago, I did a job, a bounty. I had a partner, believe it or not.
He know what you used to be? Will I ever see you again?
They tried to kill me, Anna. If you need to find me, I go by Spike Spiegel these days.
I have not watched the animes either for this. This is going to be brand new to me.
In this solar system, if the cops and the bounty hunters don't get you, the syndicate will. There's no happy ending here.
Spoken like a man who's never been in love.
I was.
What happened?
I was dreaming.
What do you say, fellas? You want to team up? I was thinking a 60-40 split. Going my way, of course.
Do not shoot her.
Please?
No.
What is on her hand there? Cummies? Like, what are we looking at?
What the actual fuck?
We're a team. The three of us. Go grab some bounties.
Please, I just want to kill her a little bit.
God damn it, Spike.
It's Jamie.
I don't know the actress's name who's playing Fed.
You good guys. Or bad guys.
Depends on who you ask.
It does have a very Scott Pilgrim feel to me. It feels very Edgar Wright. It feels like this entire thing is directed by Edgar Wright. Because one of the things I really love about Edgar Wright is how he edits and directs around the music. The music is so important to Edgar Wright and how he cuts everything together. And the way this all flows and cuts and transitions, all of that, based on the trailers, it seems like the show is going to be very reliant on the music behind it all. And Cowboy Bebop has this great music, I've always heard, right? So I think that's so cool. It embraces the cheese. It definitely embraces the cheese, and I think in the right way, based on what I'm seeing here. I'm super excited about this. Coming from somebody that doesn't know the anime, is tempted to try and watch it over the next couple weeks before this comes out. But I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do there. I'm going to watch this for sure, though. Daniela Pineda is playing Faye. A lot of people upset that she looks so different from Faye from the anime, but I mean, I get it. Like, Faye in the anime is like all sex appeal, and like that's it. It's just like that design, I mean. So I feel like they had to pull back on that a little bit. It just doesn't make sense really for her to look that way. So I think they kind of got a good middle ground here where she's still very sexual, right? Like there's still a lot of sex appeal there, but it feels like her normal like outfit is something that makes a little bit more sense, I think. You can't look like an anime character in real life. No, definitely not. I feel like they got enough there for all the characters that, yeah, like that's Spike, that's Faye. You can feel it, but it's realizing it, you know? Anime fans are always going to be picky. I think anybody that's a real diehard fan of something is going to be picky. In the same way, if they were to make a live action Final Fantasy VII movie, I'm going to be super duper picky on that. I would try to be realistic and understanding that you can't do Cloud's spiky hair in real life. There's no way you're doing Cloud Strife's ridiculous hair in real life. I know that. I get that. And I feel like anime fans need to make a couple of concessions here with Cowboy Bebop, you know? But let's move on. Next up, we got, I'm looking forward to this one too. Let's check out the trailer for Lightyear. Mr. Lightbeer. Here we go.
Status. Booster. Go. GNC. Go. Fido. Go. Guide. Go, bud.
Cabin pressurization is underway.
As we prepare for ignition. Flight recorders are on. T-minus 5, 4.
This is a great trailer, man.
2, 1, 0. We have liftoff.
Dude, it's epic, man. Yeah, man, that costume, that suit.
To infinity
and
beyond. That is such a cool trailer, man. So my takeaway from this is so much different than what I was expecting. I thought this was going to be like super goofy. Now, granted, it's just a teaser trailer, but I was expecting like something really goofy and something more in vibes with the Toy Story series. But what we're getting based on this is like Interstellar. This is like high sci-fi animation here. Like you can see certain parts in this film where they're talking about like time manipulation, time dilation. The robot that's pointing at the whiteboard at the one part is talking about time dilation. Like, are we going to be getting like shit where he's like maybe traveling to the future and staying young because of time dilation and stuff like that? Is it somehow going to weirdly connect with like Zurg? Like could it incorporate that in some way? They've already confirmed that that will not happen, actually, Rick. They said Andy will not be in this at all. They said it's not going to pull out at the end and show that Andy's watching this or anything like that. They've already confirmed that. But the idea is that this is a movie that Andy would have watched in his universe. That is the idea, though. This is the movie that got kids hyped up for Buzz Lightyear wanting his toy. In the same way that Ghostbusters came out in the 80s, right? And a whole bunch of toys came out as a result of that, and all the kids wanted the toys because they were hyped up from the movie. This is that. This movie created the sensation that is Buzz Lightyear within that world. And I have to be honest, I kind of wouldn't mind a Woody movie either, but we already know where Woody came from as far as in universe. He came from Woody's Roundup. So I don't know how you do that in the same way. They might just have to like do a movie where, hey, this is like a Western and you know, here's a person named Woody. Not, hey, this is the material that led to Woody in the Toy Story universe. You know what I mean? Because we have Woody's Roundup already. But yes, I am hyped for this. I think this is a great teaser. One of the best Pixar teasers I've actually ever seen from them. I think the song choice really carries it a lot as well. Moving on from that, what else we got today? What else we got? I think I might skip these last two. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip these last two. All right. Moving on from that, let us jump over to our community-focused segment of the show, utilizing Discord, of course. It is called In the Spotlight. Get on over to discord.gg/the Level Up Network. Go to hashtag in the spotlight. Submit your hard-hitting question for me to answer, like the Miss Mel did. She asked, if you were to design a game for Squid Game, how would it work? What would the rules and the goal be? How would it look? Where would there be teams? Explain all the thing. I like that. It's a good question. Explain all the thing, you guys. This is a tough question in a lot of ways. I've been thinking about it a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to, in honesty. The first thing that comes to mind, I have seen that this is common though, unfortunately, but the first thing that did come to mind is Duck, Duck, Goose. Because I think when we played Duck, Duck, Goose when we were kids, what would you have? You'd have maybe 8 people, something like that, right? Imagine that this was like game 3. Or maybe even game 2. Let's say game 3 of Squid Game. And you had like 100 people in Duck, Duck, Goose. Could you imagine this huge, enormous circle of 100 people, and you're just walking around it, and the thing is that's interesting about it too is you get to choose, right? So you can target people in this case that you're trying to take out. That's what adds like a very interesting dynamic to it, because there's a lot of strategy in, I'm going to choose this person because I want them out of the game, but am I faster than this person? Or do I have more stamina than this person? Because when you've got 100 people in a circle, that's no longer a short run. You know? So you're walking around this thing, you tap a person, you duck, duck, goose them, and then you start sprinting around the circle. The other person's got to catch you in time before you get back and take their spot in the circle. And then that person dies if they don't make it. Or if they catch up to you. Then let's say it's not as simple as you just tap the person. Then it's like a fight, right? It's a fight for getting back your spot in the circle. So then there's like a physical aspect to it too, of like, no, like I'm gonna hold on to my spot. You're not taking it from me, which I think could be really cool. Here's the thing about Squid Game. You could go really complex, and I have an idea I'll say in a moment that could be more complex. But Squid Game, like, I feel like the idea behind Squid Game is that it's simple. It's not supposed to be complex, right? You're supposed to take this really simple idea, put a spin on it, and that's it. And I think that Duck, Duck, Goose makes a lot of sense for something like that. The other one that is simple, but if I were to do it, I would want to make it like complex and like overly designed, is hide and seek. then this would be a team game, I think, if you were to do hide and seek. But I would want it to be something like Among Us is what came to mind when I was thinking of hide and seek. Like, imagine that you have this like complicated designed arena, which is like got darks and lights and shadows and underground areas and things like that. But on top of that, there's certain obstacles and even what would you call it, hazards that could be dangerous to you. Like, let's say that there is a like an underground shaft that you could go into, but every so often it gets electrocuted, or maybe somebody has the ability to electrocute it. If they're going around and they find a button, they can electrocute an area or something like that. Like, imagine that type of hide and seek where you're looking for each other, but you're like, it's not as simple as hide, find them. It's fluid. It's no, like, you can keep moving if you want, as long as the other team doesn't find you. And once you find, if you're like the seeker and you're a team of seekers, you have to find all of the hiders in order to win within the time limit. If even one person hasn't been found, then they win. You have to find all of the hiders before the time runs out. Something like that. Floor is Lava could be cool because it's actual lava. Would it be like the show Floor is Lava on Netflix? Pretty much. Have you guys watched that? Have you seen that show on Netflix called Floor is Lava? It's so dumb and ridiculous, but I watched the entire thing. But it's real lava. Could you imagine? Step on a crack, break your mama's back. There's so many ways this could go. You haven't seen it, Mel? You got to watch it. It's so dumb and so good. It's so good. Yeah, if you were to do some like really cool arenas for Floor is Lava, that could be fun for sure. Especially if it was real lava. Real lava or boiling water. Oh man, yeah. Make it boiling water so that you can see them boiling and burning alive. If it's lava, then they just fall below the lava, and it's like, all right, I assume that they're burning to death down there. No, make it so we can see them dying. Dying of steam is worse than dying of fire. Yes. Wow, we're dark, aren't we? We're pretty dark. I can't. Here's what's kind of a bummer, though. They've already said that if they were to do a season 2 of Squid Game, it's not really going to be focused on the games and the contestants. And that's what I want. I want them to come up with things like this. I want them to try and figure out really crazy, fun, unique ideas for the games on the next season of Squid Game. Hopefully that aspect is still there in some way, shape, or form. We'll have to wait and see. But thank you for the question, Mel. Another fantastic question coming in from the Miss Mel. Get on our Discord, guys, at discord.gg/thelevelupnetwork. Go to the hashtag in the Spotlight channel. Submit your hard-hitting question for me to answer live on the next episode of Lights Up, or just get on there to become a part of the community even when I am not live. Just make an anime with older games. Yeah, Squid Game could definitely be an anime, without a doubt. I'd be kind of surprised if there isn't an anime already like it, though. There's got to be a bunch of Battle Royale animes, right? There's got to be. I can see this getting the Witcher treatment. I mean, Netflix has said that it is worth $900 million to them now. It is now the fastest viewed Netflix series of all time in the first month. That's 28 days. So, yeah, like, this is very, very valuable at this point. They're going to be dumping 45.6 billion won in front of that guy's house to get him back doing what we want, what we want him to do. And it's not to say like I don't want him to surprise us, but because it's his show and he's proven that he can surprise us already, so I'm sure he can do it again. But come on, give us like a little bit more of Squid Game, like the actual games themselves. Anime called Kaiji that's very similar to Squid Game. There's a Japanese movie literally called, of course I know of the movie Battle Royale, which kind of jump-started the genre. But I have never heard of Kaiji. Is that on Crunchyroll, Fuzzbucket? Anyway, guys, let us go to a short intermission here. When we come back, we are getting into a little halftime hedge, followed by the top stories of the month. Hold on tight, Fuzzbucket. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 11 of the Lights Up Show, our movies and television talk show live on the first Saturday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode by following here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get alerts whenever we go live, also including variety gaming, of course, Wednesdays and Sundays typically here on the channel. If you're watching the archive on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, get alerts for future video uploads, and once again, become a part of the community even when we are not live on Discord at discord.gg/The Level Up Network. We're about to do a first on this show. We're going to bring over a segment from Next Level Gamescast called Halftime Hedge. Is it Sunday for you already, Trooper? Interesting. It is Saturday here. Still Saturday. It's 9:19 p.m. here on Saturday. But yeah, Halftime Hedge is where you guys can get on our Discord. You can go to the Halftime Hedge channel. You could do either video game bets, or you could do movies and television bets here on the show. Put up some of your seasonal points, and if you are right, you will win those seasonal points. If you lose, we'll take them away from you. So King Kurt came in with the very first halftime hedge we've ever had here on the Lights Up Show. He is, at the start, we're going to negotiate this, he is wagering 3,500 seasonal points, and his bets is a ballsy one, to say the least. He is saying that there will not be any Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home. This is unbelievable to me that you are willing to make this bet, actually, King Kurt. If you guys don't know, I mean, there is so much out there already, so many leaks pretty much confirming at this point. They're denying it. They're going to keep denying it, of course, that Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire are in Spider-Man No Way Home. But, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, there's so many images of them on site, images of their costumes. It's everywhere. There's literally video footage of Andrew Garfield that some people are saying is deep faked, but if it is, it's one of the best deep fakes I've ever seen. So this, I think, is actually massively undershooting the value of this wager. Now, King Kurt, you are welcome to put up whatever you want. Don't feel like I'm forcing you to raise the stakes here, but I would be willing to take 10,000 seasonal points here. I am that confident that you are wrong, that I will give you 10,000 seasonal points if you are right. Are you willing to agree to that wager? 100,000. I will not do 100,000. I'll do 10,000. Willing to do up to 10K. That's what I'm going to put you in the books for then, Kurt. If you are in agreement with that, 10K on the line in the books. That, I'm going to make it clear here, you said there will not be any Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, based on that, if it's only Peter Parker and no Spider-Man, you win. I'll give it to you. I'm saying that there will be either one or the other. There will be either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in Spider-Man No Way Home. We will see one of them in costume in the movie. That is the wager. If it's just Peter Parker, you win. Okay? Still in agreement? I'm actually giving you a little bit of leeway there with that. So I'd assume you're in agreement. LFG. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. What does LFG mean? While you describe what that means, let's move on to our final segment of the show. We're going to go through the top stories of the month. We have 9, technically, that we're going to go through here, starting off with number 9. Boondock Saints 3 has been announced. Oh, let's effing go. Of course. I don't know why I didn't guess that. Boondock Saints 3 has been announced. This comes from director Troy Duffy, who did the first 2 movies. Quote, "The fans have loved these characters for 20 years. Have they?" Duffy said, "They used terms of endearment like the brothers and the boys. We left them in jail at the end of Boondock 2, spoiler alert, and fans want to know what happened to them. Norman and Sean have been a driving force to keep this franchise on track and break some new ground story-wise. The fans have been waiting. They literally ask about it daily, and I'm really excited to be working with Impossible Dream to make Boondock 3 a reality. There was a Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day. Without getting too deep into the story, what it is two boys coming out of prison after staying there much longer than expected to a brand new world. They're at odds on whether to push forward, but the type of people we face today in our society is unlike any we've faced before, and that brings them together, and they say, we cannot turn our backs on this. Here's what I have to say about Boondock Saints. These are not good movies. Does anybody here like these movies? These are not good movies. I think we all can agree that he was trying to emulate Quentin Tarantino in like the Pulp Fiction era. But really, I think they're dumb. Just dumb movies. Very amateur looking, feeling. I honestly think they're just bad movies. And from everything I've heard about Troy Duffy, he's a bad person as well. He's a sucky person. So I'm going to hope that this movie fails. Boondock Saints 3. Because everything I've heard about Troy Duffy is that he's a real piece of crap. So I do like me some Norman Reedus, though. And also Willem Dafoe. AKA Norman Osborn. Got the two Normans in there. Moving on from that, let's jump on over to some exciting news for Oppenheimer, which we talked about last month. Christopher Nolan confirming that that's what he's working on. We know pretty much for sure that, oh man, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Scarecrow. Somebody fill me in the chat. Guy who plays Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy is pretty much confirmed for Oppenheimer, but now we know as well that two others are joining. Matt Damon and Robert Downey Jr. are joining Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. That's really exciting, especially for Robert Downey Jr. because he's never been a part of the Nolan crew. Matt Damon was, as seen on screen right now, in Interstellar with a small role, but I thought a really great role for him in that. So he's coming back into the crew, and we now probably have RDJ becoming a Nolan regular, potentially. Robert Downey Jr. really hasn't done that much out of the MCU for a very long time. He did Sherlock Holmes. He did Dr. Dolittle. And he might have done one other thing that I'm drawing a blank on. But he hasn't done a lot. So it's cool that we're kind of seeing like the trajectory for RDJ following his amazing performance for 15 years as Iron Man. I love the man as well. And I wish him the very best. I want to see him have amazing success following that great character that he brought to life. So look forward to that. I really want this to be great. Christopher Nolan is definitely still a favorite director of mine, even though Tenet I didn't think was great and Dunkirk was good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not really what I want from him. Interstellar was the last thing from Nolan that I loved. I loved Interstellar. I loved Inception. For better and for worse, I love the Dark Knight trilogy. I love The Prestige. I love Memento. He's an amazing director overall. So I want him to do great with Oppenheimer. Got Barbie up on screen, guys. And there's a good reason for it. This movie, live action recreation of Barbie, is surprisingly stacked with talent. Pun intended, stacked. So we've known for a while now that Margot Robbie is going to be Barbie, which is a great choice. Margot Robbie is Barbie. Oh my God. Perfect. She's beautiful. She's a perfect Barbie. And on top of that, we've known for a little while now that Greta Gerwig is writing and directing this. Greta Gerwig of Lady Bird, Greta Gerwig of Little Women. Amazing job on both of those movies. This is a upcoming great writer-director, Greta Gerwig. So that's really exciting. And now we know, on top of that, who is going to be our Ken. Does anybody want to guess in chat? Does anybody want to guess who is going to be playing Ken in the live-action Barbie movie? And was in Weird Science as a small part. RDJ was? I actually forget that. It's been a while since I've seen Weird Science, though. Do you think the MCU rules ruin actors' careers? No, not at all. No. I don't think so. Does anybody have a guess on who's going to be playing Ken? I'm curious. I just want to see like where your guys' minds go on who would be a good Ken. Look at actors like Mads, Anthony Hopkins, totally fine to dip in and out. Yeah, for sure. That kid from High School Musical. That's a good choice, actually. Zac Efron would have been a fun choice. Lance Bass. I like that choice, actually. Mel. Zac Efron would have made a lot of sense as Ken. Chris Pine. Yeah, Chris Pine I could have definitely seen as a Ken. Really strong. Chris Pratt. We'll talk about Chris Pratt in a moment. But you guys did not get it. The choice, which I think is fantastic for our Ken, is Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling will be playing Ken in the live action Barbie movie. So the talent, man, there's some great talent attached to this movie. And I want it to be great. I really want it to be great and like an interesting, clever take on Barbie. You hate Ryan Gosling? Really? I need to dive into this real quick. Why do you hate Ryan Gosling? He gives me the ick. Wow. So there's no real like reason behind it. It's just like a feeling, like a gut feeling. He seems douchey. That kind of works though for Ken, I will say. He has the same ick quality as Nicolas Cage. This is fascinating to me. That's not the only thing that Ryan Gosling is a part of. This has been known for a little while, but there's extra information coming out about the Wolfman. Ryan Gosling is going to be the Wolfman. This one up on screen right now is Benicio del Toro's Wolfman. But one thing that we thought was going to be the case, Lee Whannell was supposed to be the director of the Wolfman. He did The Invisible Man not too long ago, which I thought was really good. But unfortunately, considering how strong I thought Invisible Man was, Lee Whannell is out as director of the Wolfman. Variety writes Ryan Gosling and director Derek Cianfrance will reunite on Wolfman, the latest monster movie from Universal Pictures. The good news is that they've worked together, Cianfrance and Gosling, before on 2 movies, one of them being the romantic drama of Blue Valentine, which is one of the most depressing movies I've seen. So I loved it. Really depressing movie. Everybody should see it. Blue Valentine. Really good. And also an acclaimed thriller called The Place Beyond the Pines, which I've seen bits of and was really good. So this is a strong director, in my opinion. He's taking over duties from Lee Whannell, who had to drop out of the project due to a scheduling conflict. Cianfrance will also write the script. It is not clear what the new version of Wolfman will look like, but the movie is expected to be a modern take on the story about a man who is bitten and transforms into a werewolf. Also, Gosling was the one who pitched this idea for the reboot in 2020. And what's interesting about his pitch is he said present times reboot, but it would be in the vein of Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, which is really cool, but with a supernatural twist. So that's kind of exciting. I like the way that sounds in a lot of ways. So, and I think Ryan Gosling, myself, I think he's a good choice for the Wolfman. So add this one to my list of promising horror movies. What do we got? Brendan Fraser as Ken. When he was younger? Yeah, maybe when he was younger. I could see that. Moving on to more casting decisions. Let's go to Chris Pratt, who Rose brought up a little earlier. Chris Pratt has been cast as Garfield. This comes like a month after Chris Pratt was cast as Mario. So people are already very confused and somewhat upset about him being cast as Mario. And now on top of that, he's been cast as Garfield, which also doesn't make a lot of sense. Bill Murray, who originally played Garfield, yeah, that makes sense. Bill Murray makes sense as Garfield. Curmudgeon Garfield. Hates Mondays. Yeah. Chris Pratt? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to imagine it. Like, I can't imagine him doing his normal Chris Pratt voice with Garfield. That doesn't make sense. So is he going to put on a voice? Is he going to like kind of be a little bit more lackadaisical? Is he going to be a little bit more, lazy, as you said? Like, I'm trying to picture it and hear it, but it's not really coming to me. Are you being sarcastic, Rick, or do you actually think this is a good choice for Garfield? It is simple. Chris Pratt is cashing in, but that's not the problem we're talking about here. Chris will take any role that'll do well for him, right? That's not on him. Like if he gets offered a role and it's good money and he is excited about it, yeah, sure. That makes perfect sense. Take the role. But my confusion more lies in why Chris Pratt. Is he that popular right now that it makes sense for him to be Garfield? Personally, I don't really hear it myself. And if he's going to be doing a voice, like I assume he's going to be doing with Mario. He's probably going to be doing a voice with Mario. He's probably going to be doing a voice with Garfield. Then it becomes kind of a question of, okay, if he's not going to be Chris Pratt, then why are we casting Chris Pratt other than star value? And if that's what it is, okay, that's what it is. It's just, the value of him as a star. It's interesting to me. I'm very excited to hear his take on both Mario and Garfield. I want him to prove people wrong. I know a lot of people hate Chris Pratt. I don't hate Chris Pratt. I think he has foot and mouth syndrome. I think he sticks his foot in his mouth a whole lot. He did that very recently. I'm sure you guys have seen the controversy surrounding his post, sort of, celebrating his wife, but also talking about how she gave him a beautiful, healthy daughter, and his other child with Anna Faris is in some ways not healthy, had some problems at birth. So people are kind of saying, like, what kind of father would point out the health of their current, their latest child when their first child is not as healthy. I get that. I don't think he did that intentionally. I think that was him just kind of being dumb and stupid, honestly. But I don't dislike him. I could do without his Bible BS. Yeah, I'm not going to get on that. I'm not a religious person. It is kind of cringy to me, but he doesn't come across to me as somebody that uses religion in a bad way, like Bev from Midnight Mass or anything like that. I think he's trying to use it in a positive way. He comes off a little heavy-handed and kind of naive to me, but that's fine. I'm not going to dislike the guy for that. I'm definitely not going to dislike him as an actor because of that. So yeah, I'm going to give him a shot. I'm going to wait and see. I'm take a wait and see approach on these two, He definitely doesn't come off as a mean person. Yeah. His private life is his private life. Nobody bats an eye if Joe the plumber says stuff like that. Yeah. It's tough for any celebrity to have a private life. They're kind of stripped of that when they become a celebrity. And I think they understand that to a certain extent. But yeah, I agree with you, Brandon Black. Moving on. Let's go to a actual tragedy, a true tragedy. On the set of Rust this past month, a cinematographer was tragically killed, and director was also injured in a prop gun accident. Something very similar to what happened on the set of Crow back in 1994, and also happened a few times since. But I would say that what happened to Brandon Lee on The Crow is probably the most famous or infamous situation of this happening. It was Alec Baldwin who fired the shot. Of course, he did not know that the gun was hot. It was called out from all, records, all recounts of the situation. It was called out as a cold gun, but prior to being put in his hand, it was a shot where when I'm talking about shot, I'm talking about how the camera was situated. He was pointing the gun at the camera in this case and fired a shot at it. It hits the cinematographer, I think, and I guess went through her and hit the director as well, I believe, in the shoulder. He is okay. The cinematographer tragically passed away. And it's brought up a lot of investigation, of course, into how in 2021 this could still happen. There are a lot of gates that you have to jump over. A lot of barriers that you have to jump over now for this to happen. A lot of things have been put in place, especially since 1994, that are trying to curb this thing from ever happening again. So for it to happen means that all of these security measures failed or were bypassed. And if that's the case, then unfortunately, this needs to be taken away entirely, in my opinion. This cannot happen. If this kind of thing happens with all security measures in place, then we just cannot have hot guns, functioning guns on a set. I get why they have it. I do. I understand that for being in the moments, having that gunshot cause people to react the way they really would. To have the person that fires the gun feel that recoil, have a really realistic response to that, is better than adding a muzzle flash in post-production. It's better than them having to move his hand through CGI type methods in post-production. I get that. I know that it'll make the filmmaking process more difficult, but there is no reason whatsoever. There's no reason that any added difficulty on set as a result of removing live guns is more important than somebody's life. And it's just, I can't stop thinking about this because it's so terrible, of course, for the cinematographer and her family. But also, it's so terrible for all the cast and crew involved, especially for Alec Baldwin, that now needs to spend the rest of his life knowing that he inadvertently killed somebody who had a family, who was a mother. Like, that's... Like, imagine that. Imagine, like, it's not your fault, and he has to know it's not his fault, but that doesn't matter. This is going to weigh on him for the rest of his life. He killed a person inadvertently. Want to hear a tragic story? The person that killed Brandon Lee was obviously devastated by that. It destroyed him. He tried to remain as an actor, and had a hard time doing so because of what happened to him. But on top of that, he got stomach cancer. The guy who shot Brandon Lee in the stomach and killed him. And this actor who died from the stomach cancer, looked at it as karma, that he got stomach cancer and died because he shot Brandon Lee in the stomach. Like, that's the kind of guilt that weighed on him. And I have to say, like, I'm a believer in your body manifesting that type of pain. Like, I think you can give yourself illness. I think you can give yourself even cancer with that type of pain and guilt weighing on you. I think your body manifests those kind of things. Yeah. And it's such a tragedy. So, I feel for everybody involved in this, but more than anything, they need to get to the bottom of this. They need to find out what happened. There's even some investigation right now into if somebody put a live round into the blanks and sabotage this, which would be absolutely insane if there's some foul play involved here. Oh man, imagine that. There is investigation going on into that there's a possibility of foul play. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll learn more information over the coming months. Moving on from that, let's get into our sole video game news in movies and television. We're going to put this up on the big screen because we got a lot of on-set photos of HBO's The Last of Us. Look at him. Look how happy he is, guys. Look at Joel. He's so happy. And for some reason, we got our Ellie here doing the SpongeBob meme. I'm not sure why she's doing the SpongeBob meme, but she is, which I think is awesome. But yeah, I love this shot, man. I love that shot. But let's keep going here. Let's see what after we got a bunch of photos here. Next up, got him in mask. He looks the part to me. He really does. The jacket's new, something that is definitely not something we saw for the character in the summer, which is where this is. This is the summer period of The Last of Us. So he's got a jacket. He's got like a shoddy or something too, it looks like here. Won't see too much smiling in the actual show. Probably not. Look at him there. He looks like he's having a great old time with Anna Torv there. Look at the fungus there too, guys. Look at all the fungus. DJ, how you doing? We're almost there for daylight savings. Fungus looks fantastic. They're getting that nailed. Get a couple more shots of that as well. It's not Kevin, but still. There you go. Look at it, the way it goes up the door there. That's disgusting in all the right ways. Exactly how I imagined it. Disgusting. Imagine that shit growing out of people. I can't wait for our first shot of a clicker. This is so cool. They've got posters from the game they talked about in part 2, Curtis and Viper. Yes, we got Curtis and Viper. And on top of that, we got Dawn of the Wolf, visible in the first game. So cool. And lastly, not just that, there's one more. We also have Savage Starlights. Endure and survive. You guys, endure and survive. That's so cool. This is great. Lots of good shots here of the city. Made to look a lot like Boston. Not actually Boston. They're shooting this up in Canada. But doing a great job making it feel like Boston. There's a couple later on that show some great, environmental shots. There you go. One of them of of the environment taking things back. All those vines. So reminiscent of what you see in the games. The cars looking that way. Look at that. That's like straight out of the game. Looks so right. When do you guys think this is going to actually release? If you had to guess. I think it definitely comes out next year. I really do. I think it comes out by the end of 2022. Do they get The Last of Us remake out in time for the series? Yeah, I agree, Rick. I think late 2022. Vancouver, the city without an identity. If they are filming there, that is. I want to say you're right. I want to say it's Vancouver, Brain and Black, but I could be wrong. It is one of, if not the most expensive production ever in Canada, which I think is just wild because there's a lot of shit shot in Canada. So much is shot in Canada. Maybe October for the scary vibes. Yeah. There you have it. Looks great, man. The remake can be revealed weeks before it releases, honestly. Yeah, that'd be fine too. It doesn't have to come out with the show. Yeah, but to be revealed around the same time would also work really well. Let's move on to our DC Universe news for the month. We got a few things here. First up, let's go back to the Batman. We watched a trailer tonight. And we now have an idea of its production budget. And I was a little surprised by it, actually. The Batman supposedly has a production budget of $100 million, which is not small. Don't get me wrong. Not a small production budget, but also not that high either. $100 million in today's blockbuster environment is not a huge production budget. Let's put this into context a little bit. Batman Begins had a $150 million budget all the way back in the early 2000s. Batman v Superman had a $250 million budget, but it is about in line with Shazam, which also had a $100 million budget. So they're taking a little bit more of a low budget approach to this one, which I'm okay with. I agree. I think they're going to be going for something a little bit more practical in a lot of ways, more grounded as we can see. And that is totally fine. Oh, on top of that, we have some news about Batgirl. You guys love Brendan Fraser. Well, Brendan Fraser will be the villain of HBO Max's Batgirl. He's going to be playing Firefly, which from what I understand in the comics is some type of pyrotechnic, works in film, and some terrible accident results in him getting terribly scarred. And after that, he kind of puts together this like suit that allows him to fly and shoot fire and all this. So he is the main villain of HBO Max's Batgirl. Brendan Fraser, of course, having somewhat of a renaissance right now. He's going to be in a Martin Scorsese movie in the near future. and a few others as well. He's got a couple of movies coming up, some good roles for him. So it's great for this person that, from what I understand, is just a really kind-hearted person that got the shit end of the stick, got really abused, literally abused by Hollywood. For him to bounce back from that and finding all these roles and hopefully finding success is just a really cool thing to see. A super arsonist, basically. On top of that, up on screen right now, we have Batman the Caped Crusader. New details. This came out of DC Fandom, as a lot of this information did. But I'm really excited about this in particular because it is, in a lot of ways, the true spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series, what I consider to be one of the best animated shows of all time, if not the best. Let's talk a little bit about what they said here. Quote, the elevator pitch for this show is that it's more Batman the Animated Series than Batman the Animated Series. This came from Bruce Timm. He said this in a preview during DC Fandom. Quote, my ideas was to say, okay, it's 1990 again. I get to do what I want this time. And I have J.J. Abrams and Matt's, who's Matt? Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves, actually, a director of The Batman, also backing him up. So it sounds like they are going to take advantage of the HBO Max lack of limitations, and this might be a little bit more gritty, a little bit more mature, maybe a little bit of blood, maybe a little bit of violence involved. Quote, in Bruce's word, in this new iteration, it's just Batman right now. The Justice League doesn't exist. There aren't any other superheroes. It's Batman. You're watching this lone figure swimming through the cesspool of Gotham. It's Batman alone. Tucker went on to explain that this version of Batman will be low tech in the early episodes. It's going to be like year 1 or 2, I think they said, for him. As he develops as a character, the creators will slowly bring his gadgetry and vehicular inventions into the world, and of the relationships are back to square one too. Season 1 is set before Commissioner Gordon is an ally, and versions of Joker, Catwoman, and Penguin are all reset. Fans shouldn't expect anything to be literally held over from Batman the Animated Series, but prepare for even more of German expressionist film noir look that came to define the 90s series. If anything, we're going to lean even more into that, notes Tim. You saw that little animated clip I put up there. That was for the 75th anniversary of Batman. That is the vibe they're going after, that German expressionist film noir aspect, but it will not be in black and white. They have confirmed that it will be in full color for Batman the Caped Crusader, which will premiere on HBO Max in 2022. I will be watching this without a doubt. This looks really exciting to me. He said the same thing after Arkham City, and then there was Arkham Knights. Is that for Mark Hamill we're talking? Yeah, that's that. It would be interesting to see if he comes back. I'd be okay with no Conroy. I do think that Kevin Conroy is having a hard time pulling off that voice nowadays. It's not the right fit anymore. Mark Hamill can still do Joker pretty well, though, if they want to bring him back. Moving on from that, we do have a couple more things. We got the Flash teaser trailer up on screen right now. What was kind of interesting about this teaser trailer, presented by Ezra Miller during the show, which was a very, very interesting outfit he was wearing. He said that they didn't have a lot to show, but they did want to put something together, and it was very much a small teaser. But more interesting about the teaser is that it's not really focused on the Flash. It's like all about Tim Burton's Batman. The entire thing is narrated by Michael Keaton, and the big reveal at the end of the teaser trailer is the cowl. The Tim Burton Batman cowl, which is kind of iconic. I think it's about to show up on screen right now. There you go. Looking pretty good, man. And then even after that, you have a shot of Ezra Miller, Flash, taking off a tarp on top of the Burton Batmobile. So I have to admit, it excites me. They got me. You know, it's kind of shallow of me, I guess, to be excited by that, because it's not a lot of work on their end to do it. It's just like, the first Burton Batman is iconic to me. I grew up with that film, even though it came out a year after I was born. I grew up with that. I had the toys when I was a kid. It was important to my love of Batman being my favorite superhero of all time. So for them to do anything Burton Batman is tugging at that for me. I'm looking forward to it. And then lastly, I did throw in this trailer of Peacemaker because it does look good. I agree. It looks fun. It looks like a lot of fun. It's a little different than what I was expecting, because Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad was this very interesting, nuanced character where I wasn't quite sure where I fell with him. He was in some ways the villain of the movie, but like he kind of represented like the worst of America in my mind. But then in this, like it seems like we're just rooting for him and he's just this lovable, goofy, dorky hero. So I wonder if they're also going to continue to show the aspects of him that are kind of dangerous, I guess you could say, like his American values that are, in my opinion, outdated and represents a lot of the bad in this country. We'll see. I was surprised by him in Suicide Squad too. I thought he was good. My Batman was Adam West. I love Adam West Batman. I love Batman the movie. It's fun in a very satirical way, of course. I still look back on that pretty fondly as well. I used to watch it a lot as a kid. You know? Some days, what does he say? Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Is that what he says? Classic. Our number one, we're going to talk about Disney, Star Wars, and MCU news for the month. Starting off with a big change. Marvel has delayed its entire 2022 film slate. That starts with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which was once planned for March of 2022. That has moved to May 6th of 2022, which was the date for Thor: Love and Thunder. That has now been pushed back to July 8th, 2022, taking the spot of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which was pushed back to November 11th, 2022, and might be pushed back even further, hopefully not, but Letitia Wright was injured on set. They have completely shut down production on Black Panther 2, so we'll have to see if that affects the November 11th date. And then finally, a couple movies were delayed entirely out of 2022 into 2023. Those include The Marvels, which will be released February 17th, 2023, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, that's been delayed as well to July 28th of 2023. Continuing on with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, heavy rumors right now that Bill Murray is joining the MCU through that movie. He was being interviewed for like some German newspaper or something, and he just like didn't give a shit. He's just like, yeah, I'm in the MCU now. But I think he did talk about his relationship with the director, who I'm drawing a blank on right now. Somebody can fill me in the chat real quick. The director of both Ant-Man movies and also the director of a couple episodes of The Mandalorian. Episodes that I thought were actually really good, better than anything he's done with Ant-Man, in my opinion. I'm really hoping that he shows growth with his directorial style with Ant-Man, because I think it's so kind of lazy and without character or without vision within the MCU. I would like to see him have a little bit more of the vision and style that he brought to Mandalorian brought within the MCU. But Bill Murray, what do you guys think? What's Bill Murray doing in the MCU? What character would he play, if any? Is it like a one-off? What are we thinking? Doko Rock, welcome to the show. Good to have you here. I'm Andrew, if you're a first-time viewer. Which I don't think you are, actually. I recognize your name. Quantumania is a way bigger movie than the others. I think he will. Yeah, Quantumania does seem to be like the biggest movie they have announced right now, which is crazy to me because Ant-Man never felt like that to me with the other movies. They felt like almost like side movies where they weren't as important. But this one is clearly very, very important. So we'll have to wait and see. You guys saw up on screen for a moment there, going back to Multiverse of Madness, Shuma Gorath is pretty much confirmed to be in Multiverse of Madness because there is a toy box, some type of merchandise was put out with artwork of Shuma Gorath on it with Doctor Strange. So it seems like they're going to bring that in. We were introduced to the character or villain, whatever you want to call it, in a What If for people that don't know the comics. So it makes sense that they would continue that in the live action universe as well. You saw Ant-Man and Wasp on there. I put that up because Zooey Deschanel was actually originally going to play Wasp, it turns out. Let me pause this for a moment. So Cinema Blend writes, The Avengers arrived in theaters back in 2012. It featured the first major MCU crossover as the heroes assembled in Protect New York City. Joss Whedon wanted to bring Zooey Deschanel in as the Wasp, and it seemed like Black Widow wouldn't factor into that story at all. Senior Vice President of Marvel Studios Jeremy Latcham confirmed this recently, saying, quote, it was all about the Wasp. He wanted to cast Zooey Deschanel, and Wasp was going to be the funniest character in the whole movie. It was very well written, he said. But that didn't happen. Black Widow took on a larger role, and the Wasp got pushed back to Ant-Man and the Wasp, where Evangeline Lilly was cast as the character, and I think for better, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't really see Zooey Deschanel as the Wasp. I think Evangeline Lilly does a fantastic job myself. And that's not because I like those movies. As you guys know, like, they're some of my least favorite movies in the MCU, but I think that was the right call, Rick. Yes, it was the right call. Lastly, let's move over to some Star Wars. Hayden Christensen is joining Disney Plus's Ahsoka series. Yahoo Movies writes, Hayden Christensen is to join the cast of Disney Plus's latest live-action Star Wars series, Ahsoka. The actor will reprise his role as Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader, in the show, which will see Rosario Dawson star as Jedi Knight survivor Ahsoka Tano. As previously reported, Christensen will also appear in Obi-Wan. It's not clear yet how Christensen will feature in Ahsoka, which, like The Mandalorian, is set 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so he is dead. As Darth Vader, he is dead. So is he back through flashbacks of when Ahsoka was being trained as Padawan by him? Is he back as a Force ghost? A benevolent Force ghost? Because he is no longer the evil Darth Vader. You know, we saw, of course, a Force ghost of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker in the remastered versions of Return of the Jedi. So it wouldn't be new for them to do that. I think they could certainly do that and actually could do some cool things with it. It might actually be kind of cool to see both sides of the spectrum for Hayden Christensen in this character. Have him be Darth Vader in Obi-Wan and have him be Anakin Skywalker in Ahsoka Tano or Ahsoka. That could be kind of cool to see his range, to allow him to really show off his abilities as an actor, because I do think he has acting chops. I think he has potential to show off that he is better than we all thought he was in those films, which we will watch tonight. One of the clips up on screen. Continuing with Star Wars, Mike Flanagan, great horror director behind some of the best series right now on Netflix, including Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, and Midnight Mass. He wants to make a Star Wars horror movie series. He said simply on Twitter here, quote, got woken up by an earthquake this morning, sat there for a few minutes just thinking I'd really love to make a horror movie in the Star Wars universe. Oh, someone's at the door? What the hell? Somebody already delivered the damn pizza. I swear to God. I said 10:15. I didn't say 10 o'clock. All right. Pizza's at the door. It's already up there from 8 minutes ago. What the hell? That's so early. Okay. Let me actually pause that and grab the pizza. Guys, I will be right back. Let's go do a short intermission. I'll be right back. Sorry about the delay, everybody. I'm back. Let's finish off this show here. Pizza is in the oven because we're going to heat that up a little bit because it was sitting out there in the cold for 10 minutes. The sons of bitches messed it up. All right. So we were talking about Mike Flanagan doing a horror series. I would love for this to happen. I would love it. But I agree with Rick that, would Disney allow it? He would obviously have to limit himself in some way. He's not going to be able to do Haunting of Hill House or Midnight Mass or anything like that. But there's potential here. And I do want to kind of spitball a little bit on like what could he do if he were to do a horror series. One thing I know, and this is specifically Mike Flanagan. If I'm talking about Mike Flanagan, one thing I know about Mike Flanagan is he likes to deal with family trauma. And he likes to deal with the concept of death. What happens after death. Whether it be ghosts or heaven and hell or, just religion in general. What happens to us when we die seems to be something that he really likes to focus on in his horror movies. So considering that, family trauma, life and death, obviously, if you're thinking of Star Wars and you're thinking of family, you think of the Skywalker family, but I wouldn't want him to do the Skywalker family. We've had enough Skywalker family. But the concept of death within the Star Wars universe is interesting. There's a lot to talk about there because, what is going on with the Force? What is going on with Force ghosts? When somebody allows themselves to transcend, to just disappear, and become one with the Force. What is happening there? Can that go wrong? Can something malevolent happen in that process? What if the wrong person were to transcend to the Force? What happens to somebody that doesn't do that? What happens to somebody that just dies? What happens to them within the Star Wars universe? Do they return to the Force in their own way? Another thing you could do is aliens. Like, there's plenty of horror that can happen with alien species. In some ways, I think the one episode of The Mandalorian season 2 with the spider monster, I thought was pretty freaking scary, actually. That was a scary monster, and I really liked that episode a lot. I think a lot of people get down on that episode, but I liked the horror vibes of that episode. So do you do something like the Aliens series, where maybe you have like a group of people investigating an abandoned ship? It's kind of tropey, of course, but you could definitely do something like that. I think you'd have to mix it up a little bit. I don't think it can be as simple as, a cat and mouse type thing with some type of alien on board an abandoned ship. That's just a little bit too simple, probably, because it doesn't quite feel like Star Wars. How do you make it feel like Star Wars? I would love to see him give it a shot, but I don't think that's what's going on here. I don't think that he's posting this because he is involved with Disney. I don't think he's posting this because he even necessarily has an idea. He didn't say that. He didn't say he woke up because or had a dream about his Star Wars idea. He simply just said that he would love to do horror Star Wars someday. I do wonder if he was like having like a nightmare or something, or maybe like the earthquake inspired him in some way. I'd love to know, but we'll have to wait and see if we find out. One more just Disney news here up on screen right now. Red Notice, because Gal Gadot is in Red Notice, and it's been announced that she is going to star as the evil queen in Disney's live action Snow White. Okay, yeah, I think I could probably get behind that. I don't think she's a very good actress, actually. I think her accent actually allows her to mask that she's not a very good actress. Do you guys know what I mean there? I feel like things that are bad acting from her, you can kind of like wave off as, oh, that was just her accent. You know what I mean? Laugh my ass off. Does that make sense at all? Like her going, Kal-El, no. Like, was that just like her accents, or was that bad acting? You know what I mean? Kal-El, no. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't figured out if she's a bad actress or if it's just her accent. She is a fine Wonder Woman. I don't think that requires her to be a great actress myself. I think she's a fine Wonder Woman. But yeah, so far there's nothing I've seen from her where I was like, yeah, she's a good actress. She's absolutely beautiful. There's no denying that. So her as the evil queen, like the beautiful evil queen, makes sense. As someone who apparently can't speak English, I take offense to that. Sorry, story. I apologize. But that is it, you guys. That is the final story of the top story, Disney Star Wars MCU news, and therefore the end of episode 11 of the Lights Up show. If you guys enjoyed this episode, we almost got 20 people in the room. We got so close to 20 people in the room. Hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get alerts whenever I go live with Lights Up on the first Saturday of every month. I'm also live typically on Wednesdays and Sundays with variety gaming and gaming talk shows as well. Rick says, good show is good. Never stop doing it. I don't plan on stopping. Not this time. I'm not going to give up this time. I'm powering through. I don't care if we stay at 19 viewers forever. We are not giving up on Lights Up this time. We're making it work. As Resonance says in chat, going up to producer level soon, I think, Resonance. Don't forget to stick around after Lights Up. There will be a drunk watch along of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, on our Discord at discord.gg/the Level Up Network, available to anyone and everyone that joins our Discord. So jump on there right now, become a part of the community, even when I am not live. It's the hashtag watch along channel. Give me 5, probably more like 10 minutes to get my alcohol ready to go, to get the movie ready to go. And I'll be back in a little bit. But thank you so much to everybody for watching this episode of the Lights Up Show. I'll leave you with another intermission here, allow you guys to jump on over to Discord. I hope to see you on Wednesday this coming week. I'll be doing Guardians of the Galaxy, and next Sunday as well, Guardians of the Galaxy. So come back around, and especially come back around for Lights Up next month. Until next time, take care. And as always, don't forget to level up, everybody.